Hey everybody, this coming week is going to be preparation week for me. The Ticonderoga Volunteers are going to have a reception, and last year I went to the reception and brought the camera along just as I might be able to get some pictures type of thing, not realizing that I was basically pressed into service to get the group picture that would go up on the site, which I was in. So unfortunately, I wasn't in because that's what happens when you don't prepare for certain things. So this year, I am going to do things much differently. So the preparation this year, to give you an idea, guys, an idea of where we're shooting, it's inside the pavilion. I was hoping for, there's a wall of windows. But because I was now not shooting individuals, I was shooting a group, the distance between that wall of windows and where I'd be shooting was too short. It would be very difficult to get a group in there, even with a 24 millimeter wide angle, to get everybody in there properly. So the shoot needed to be moved. Now, the windows provided a good amount of light, but the main entry hall does not. So we were in the main entry hall. We had the lights that were there. I had to push the ISO up a little bit, and I was shooting freehand. So this year, I've got all the goodies that I should have because, as I said, I'm doing some Etsy photography, some product photography. I've got a new tripod this year. And the important thing about this tripod, as was one of the other ones that I had that has just gotten too old, I've had it for 15, 20 years at this point, is to have a tripod that allows you to flip the head underneath so that you can shoot directly on top of things. So when you're doing product photography, being able to put a light directly on it and put the tripod over whatever you're shooting and get that perfectly up top shot is important. Additionally, got a new trigger. Had one, loved it, have no idea where I put it at this point. Looked in my bag, I couldn't find it, so I had to buy a new one. Canon R5 that I uses a Bluetooth trigger, which is wonderful, but only take one trigger. So I had to delete the old one off and put the new one in. But once you take the shot with that, and the interesting thing about that is it has to be on the timed shot. Not that it times it, it takes it when you push the button, but that's just a setting it has to be on for this remote trigger to work. But once you've got the remote trigger and work in place and I've got it on the tripod, now the next thing I have to worry about is lighting. As I said, I needed to up the ISO a little bit the last time. I was not happy with that because it meant I had to clean up the picture a little bit afterwards. So I have a pair of, I think I only need one of them, but I'll find out when I get there, because a lot is going to depend upon the day. There's the internal lights and there's some external light that comes in, but I can't rely on that being there should it be a cloudy day or being later in the day, it might not be getting as much light. So I think I can get away with one LED panel. These are good sized LED panels. They're about 12 by 12, if I remember correctly. They have batteries on the back, so I don't have to worry about cables. And they have lighting stands that come with them. I'll be unpackaging those tomorrow to make sure that I've got that their batteries are all charged and that they both work properly, and get a feel for what I want the color to look like. So I'll probably grab one of the people there, put them where the photograph is going to be taken, and then adjust the light on that person. I'm not going to be using the light meters and going quite that far with it. I just want to get an overall increase in the lighting where the people are going to be standing, get a feel for how far back the lights have to be or how close the lights have to be. They're pretty bright, so I don't think I have to be that close with them, but I can adjust the color. Now, the advantage of adjusting the color on these lights is that means I can add some warmth into the photograph. The area that we're shooting, there's a portrait in the background, but the walls are all white. And being able to add a little bit of tint to that, just so that the people come out looking a little bit more warm, and the environment looks a little more warm, I think will be beneficial to the overall photograph. So, preparation. I've got my bag with all of my lighting equipment in it. I mean, all my lighting equipment is in this one really awesome bag that I was able to pick up either from B&H or Adorama had it. It's got wheels, a pair of wheels in the back, so that'll help me get it to where it needs to go. It is liftable at this point, but that'll help because I'm going to have my camera, a tripod, and this bag. And I believe I can lash my tripod to the bag so that that'll be, all I have to do is just pull the big bag down with everything in place and I'll be ready to go. The lighting and backdrops and all that stuff for me fit into this one bag, which is just awesome. I have both the panels in there and I have some cabled, in other words, I got to plug them in, LED lights in there or fluorescent lights that are in the bag. So I've got all that stuff packed up in there. So preparation is going to be making sure that the panels are clean and working. They have barn doors on them, which is going to be perfect because that'll help me direct the light and not have a lot of extra light thrown around. In addition, once I've got that configured, then the bag has to be able to fit into the car. So the next thing will be check fitting the car again to make sure that everything's going to work in there correctly. I do not have a large car. It will probably be able to fit in the back seat without an issue, but I'm probably going to try to go from the trunk to the front with the seat down just to give myself a little bit more breathing room with the bag itself. Tripod, it's a normal sized tripod. It could go anywhere. So that's going to be perfect to fit anywhere in the car. And then I've got the camera bag. So the way I normally work when I go in for a shoot is I keep a camera bag with me that I leave the camera and the lens in there so that it's protected while I'm driving. As soon as I get to the site, out comes the lens, out comes the camera. My secondary lens is already in another separate padded bag because I've got the 100 to 400 and I've got my 24 to 70. 24 to 70 is what I'll be using. So the 100 to 400 can stay home. I'll just need the one backpack bag that I've got that in, and that can stay in the car because like I said, when I get to the site, the strap goes around my neck, the camera gets attached to the strap, and that's all I use when I am out walking around doing the event photography there. Same situation here. I have the camera around my neck, be hauling the bag with me down to the pavilion so that we can take the photographs inside there. Probably do this year because I am more, I've got more appreciation for the event. Some of the participants there, some of the volunteers had family there. So if we're going to do that, maybe I can get the volunteer and their family, who are probably also volunteers, into a shot, and we get some nice group shots that way as well. And this year I'll be geared up for it. I'll have everything that I need in place. The light should last me for a good amount of time. So if I do the group photograph first to make sure that I've got that clean shot, then we can do the other smaller portrait photographs afterwards and get everybody in there, and maybe even be able to get the all the volunteers, the staff of the fort who are not volunteers, get them all together in a group shot as well too. So I look forward to being able to get some more portraity photographs done. It's been a while. I've done a lot of events for the last couple of years, and I've done some portraits, but more on the fly type of thing. That like for the Fife and Drums, get them all in front of one of the buildings and just click and click and click. This will allow for more flexibility. And it's been a while since I had a really, really good tripod. The last one I had was a inexpensive one out of Amazon. Basically, I wanted to try out the Canon R5's capability of shooting a 100 megapixel photograph. And it does that by adjusting the lens internally to move things around, so the 45 megapixel normal image becomes a 100 megapixel image, which are just massive and they are gorgeous. But in order for that to work, the camera can't move. The subject can't move. So you're not going to be taking a 100 megapixel portrait of anybody. Not that you'd really want to. 45 megapixels is more than enough for doing a portrait. But I like to do some landscape work, and this one that I was testing it out on was a 100 megapixel shot of the fort itself, taken from a mile away using a 400 millimeter lens at the time. And the camera just did a fantastic job. But again, I was pushing my luck using a inexpensive Amazon Basics tripod that I had on hand, because that wasn't the best, most stable tripod to use. It held up. I got a gorgeous picture out of it. There weren't any issues with it, but the Basics tripods are pretty flimsy. They're great for if you're doing event photography and you have permission to have your tripod at the event, because if anything happens to it, you're out like $20-30. The beast that I've got now is $190 for the tripod. It's a much beefier tripod. Setup is just about as simple as the Basics one. It's just much beefier. It has actually aluminum rod legs as opposed to the U-shaped legs that the basic one had in it. And just makes for a more solid foundation on which to take photographs. The Basic would have worked great for me doing the merchandise photography if the head could be reversed easily, and that wasn't the case. So needed to have an update. It's been a while since I had a really good tripod. I haven't used one in years. For a lot. We've got the original one that I got was a good solid steel one, but it had corroded over time. It had gotten damaged, and that caused it to corrode. So the replacement that I got, because again, like I said, I don't use tripods for much, I just grabbed this little Basics one so I could use it to test out the 100 megapixels and to do a couple of set type pieces that I wanted to do. I was competing at the time and needed to have photographs of myself. So having a tripod to do those was essential. But again, the setup for this is going to be having two, possibly, one I think I can get away with, LED panels, pushing it a little bit more toward the yellow side of the spectrum just to make the picture a little warmer, and doing a group photograph, being behind the camera but not touching the camera. Now, it's always a thing that I've always found interesting, is that a lot of photographers will immediately say, well, you can't touch the camera if it's on the tripod. If you have a good tripod, you can. But I understand their reticence in that if you are touching the camera, you have the possibility in inducing vibration. Now, if you're shooting at a 500th of a second or 1500th of a second, it's not going to really show up. Right? You're going to get a clean shot no matter what. But when you are shooting in lower light situations and you're using a tripod and you've had to step that speed down, your shutter speeds down, having anything that could help you not bump that camera or cause a vibration in that image is going to be of benefit. So while I don't need the trigger and I got a perfectly good shot freehanding it, and that's the other thing, if you can freehand the shot, then you don't need to have a trigger to push on the camera. You can just shoot the camera while it's on the tripod. But if you are, and you do have the capability, and you're shooting in lower light, there's absolutely no reason to not have a trigger to just kick it off. And the triggers are usually between about $30 and $50 from what I've seen for most Bluetooth type triggers. I have a tendency to stick with Canon. I do not typically mix other lenses with my Canon. My lenses are Canon lenses, or the equipment that I use with it. The only exception to that is Canon has a Canon Connect application that allows you to connect via Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi from like a tablet to the camera. So for an event such as this, I could bring my tablet with me as well, connect the tablet to the R5, take my pictures, and immediately pull the picture into the tablet and show the people there on my much larger tablet, right? Those little screens in the back of the camera are great, but they're not great for showing to people. I can immediately pull it up onto the screen of the tablet and show people what it looks like. And I've got a good sized tablet. It's not, it's about the size of a piece of paper. So there are many options when you're using your equipment. I just personally like to stick with things that are, stick with the Canon stuff, with the Canon camera. So tripod, lights, trigger, camera, and I'll be all set. But again, I'm going to prove out the setup this week, this weekend, to make sure that I've got all the batteries are charged up, the lights are going to work, my bag is properly packed so that it can shift around as I drive and I don't have to worry about stuff bouncing around inside of it, and proof that I can get it all into the car. Because when I bought the bag, I had an SUV. Would have had absolutely no issue at all going in there. When I bought the new smaller car, and I wanted to get the 40 miles per gallon, and I bought the smaller car, one of the first things I did was try that measurement to make sure that the distance was going to be enough to pop the bag in. However, I have not put the bag in place to see how it fits in. Again, if you think of a trunk, you've got a raised spot in the back, right? The trunk doesn't go all the way down to the bumper. So there's a raised area in the back, so I have to get the bag over the raised area and angle it in so that it goes underneath and it doesn't catch on any of the body of the car above it as it's sliding in. Should work without problems. I'll find out. Just like I wish I had had the opportunity to see what the area was going to be like that I was going to be shooting in. It's a closed environment, so I would have had to ask for specific permission to go in. But now that I've been there last year for the volunteer reception, I was able to see what the setup was going to be, where the reception is. It's a tight space where the reception is, so getting pictures in there is a little difficult. It's doable. It's just a small room. There weren't a lot of people at the reception. They had a television set up in there, and that's took up part of the space as well. So people were kind of clustered, but it was a smaller area to shoot in. To get a couple of pictures, I was actually in the doorway to get pictures in there. But having this bigger area that I can set up and I can get my gear set up there and then I can just take pictures there is going to make things a lot easier. And now I know what to expect for the site. So that's what I got for you guys this week. Again, these LED panels are ubiquitous. You can find them just about anywhere. And my personal preference is to not use flash for a lot of reasons. The biggest to me, I mean, it could use gels to change the colors and things like that. Gels are a little bit more difficult to work with for the simple fact that you got to carry them, right? And a flash has a tendency to impact your subject. When that flash goes off, it impacts their eyes. By having a light on, and I'm not going to go very bright with the light, I just want to have enough light in there that I can go with a decent ISO. It's something that their eyes can adapt to, right? It's not something that's just going to flash in their eyes and be very bright, and then they have to adjust to it afterwards. The lights are there. The lights are going to be colored. Now, you could also use gels over the LED lights, but again, they're LED lights, and they have this set that I have has a wide range of colors to it, and there's a couple in there that I really love. So I don't care if it can do as many colors as other lights on the market, for example, but just being able to get the coloring that I want in the photograph is what I really want to get out of these lights. And the barn doors to make sure that they direct the lights. So if you're looking for a good set of LED lights, you want to make sure they get a good size. They've got a good life expectancy to them if you've got batteries. These take 2 batteries, and I got 2 for each. If you're going to cable it, make sure that you've got something to put over the cables so that people don't trip on the cables. If you're using it in an area where it's going to be in a walkable area, make sure that you've got weighted pads to go over the legs of or attached to the light stands so that you can make sure the light stands don't get bumped or fall over. And make sure that your lighting is of a size that you want, and you have barn doors on it so that you can direct the light better. If you want to add other things like a softbox, or just getting a good mesh material that you can put over the light itself, because again, you're about to use something that is going to be easier to use and not have any heat so that you can use it with other stuff. But here's an area where, now I bought these lights sight unseen and I'm really happy with them. I only bought the 2 for now. But here's an area where if you could find a place that has them, like if you go to the B&H store, for example, and see the lights in action, it'll give you a better feel for what you're going to get. I would definitely not use cabled ones. I would rather buy extra batteries and keep them charged and off to the side rather than ever using power cables. It just opens up a much wider range of what you can do when you don't have to worry about having cables and extension cables and covering the cables up. Just being able to move the light itself and then throw weights around it if necessary, as opposed to having to also cover all of those cables and worry about distance, is just, to me, much more flexible. It allows me to express in a lot easier method than by having to use a cabled system. And again, because there's no heat from it, you could throw a material over it. And if you found a good light material to put over it to make a softbox out of it, you could do that. It's going to hang over your light. It's going to hang over the barn doors that you've got on it. So you get a lot of directional stuff with it, and you don't have to worry about softbox material. You just have to pack a bit of fabric to go with the light and maybe a clip to hook it onto the light so it doesn't fall off. But that's what I got for you guys this week. I will talk to you all next week.